Hi, this is Enis from Never Stop Trucking. In this video, we will be talking about brokers and owner-operators. Are brokers screwing over owner-operators? The first point here that I have for you is that brokers are taking 5 to 40% of the load. They say that industry standard is 15%, but since we don't know what that actually is, we can only assume that it goes way up there. Most brokers operate on a fat margin and owner-operators are left running loads barely covering costs. Let's break down real-world rate examples. There is no transparency in a transaction. This has been the hot talk for the last few months, and FMCSA wanted to do something about that. It looks like not much is gonna happen and not much is gonna change. But nevertheless, we know what the stance is. Brokers are 100% against it. Shippers really don't care that much. Carriers are mostly for it, but some of them are also saying that they don't care. My own personal opinion is that it's not going to change much. Now the shippers will see how much brokers are taking, and therefore they're going to figure out, hey, well, why do brokers have to take that cut? Therefore they might be lowering down the rates, but I don't think we're going to see any transparency anytime soon. There is also a rise of so-called paper brokers. These are brokers with no assets, no experience, and no skin in the game, just middlemen clogging up the system and driving rates lower. A lot of brokers have no assets. Some of them will have them. Some of them will have trailers. Some of them will have a carrier side of the business, but most of them don't. For them, it's very easy to start a brokerage. They don't even need to have a full bond. They can get that as a form of an insurance, pay around $1,000 to $2,000 a year for a $75,000 bond, pay $300 for the FMCSA fee to get their authority, and maybe down the road get contingent cargo insurance. At the beginning, they really don't need it. So for them, there is not much investment. There is also a load burn manipulation. I spoke about this problem a few times in a few of my videos. Brokers, whether willingly or unwillingly, are driving down the average rate prices on DAT board. I'm not sure about TruckStop, but I know that DAT board will take into consideration all their loads, the postings, the truck postings, load searches, truck searches, a lot of different factors when determining the hot market areas, and also when determining the truck to ratio numbers. But then the average rate per mile, this is also what they take into the account when they see the loads. For example, a broker might have a load that posts from Cincinnati, Ohio to Kansas City, Kansas, and they may post a rate for that load. Now, based on the mileage from Cincinnati, Ohio to Kansas City, Kansas, the system will determine what the rate per mile is. But how many stops are there? These stops, if you have 2 or 3 stops, then it can add way more miles, maybe even twice. If you have a round trip Cincinnati, Ohio to Kansas City and then back to Cincinnati, this will be a round trip. Now, when a broker posts that as a round trip, they will post a lot of times Cincinnati to Cincinnati. But this load has maybe 1,000 miles, right? We don't know that. And then the system will count that as a Cincinnati to Cincinnati, Ohio load. Therefore, it will make the averages look different. Another thing is that brokers might post same load in 10 different ways. TQL likes to do that. And then also there are fake loads. There are a lot of hackers right now, and we see hacked accounts on DAT load board all the time. We see 10, 20 loads, 30 loads, and they keep reposting them and reposting those loads, and these loads tend to pay way more than what the average pay is. That's how these hackers and spammers want you to call them and book that load, because it looks attractive to you. Another thing is brokers working with mega carriers behind the scenes. Why do big fleets always get better loads? Because brokers prioritize volume and kickbacks over loyalty to independent drivers. You are not seeing all the loads that are out there. Majority of the loads are pre-booked. They're sent to companies before they post them on the load board. What we get on the load board is just scrap, right? These are loads that no one wants or that have to be covered last minute, or an odd load that a broker might have. If a broker has hundreds of loads or thousands of loads, they want most likely 1 or 2 or 3 carriers to take care of all of them. And who can do that? Mega carriers. They can send hundreds of loads at the same time to a mega carrier, and they can easily plan their week ahead or a month ahead with these loads, and they can assign them to their trucks. Therefore, mega carriers are loved by brokers, not just mega carriers, maybe even trucking companies that have 100, 200, 500 trucks. Another thing is delays in load confirmations and fine print tricks. Shady load confirmations, last minute changes, and clauses that trap drivers. These are all part of the broker game to cover themselves, not you. Have you ever gotten a rate confirmation and then 5 minutes later someone calls you and tells you, hey, we made a mistake, this wasn't supposed to be paying that much, or there's an additional stop or something like that, or the customer changed the appointment time only when the driver loaded the load. All of a sudden there's a change, but they didn't want to tell you that, or they knew that there was a change, but they wanted to get you to load the load, and then they will change something later. So this is one of big problems in this industry. Another thing is that brokers don't understand the road. Most brokers have never sat in a rig, let alone deliver the load. So they undervalue your time, your hours of service, and your life on the road. Most of the brokers right now are these so-called college kids that go out of college. It's hard for them to find a job, and some brokers will put them on commission or give them a low salary just to get out there and get some experience. And it works both ways for all of them, but it doesn't work for us, because if you get someone that doesn't appreciate you as a carrier or as a driver, then we have a problem. False promises and ghost loads. Ever been promised detention pay that never came? Layovers that should pay something? Welcome to the ghost money brokers world. We don't know what brokers get for layover or for detention, but most brokers will take a cut of that, and a big cut. Let me know in the comments, is it fair to the driver, to the owner operator, or to the carrier that the broker gets a part of the detention? I understand there are transaction fees, broker might have to work extra on getting the detention for you, but if they get 5-10% from that, then okay, that might cover some of their fees. But if they get 40% or half of that, that shouldn't be the case. In my opinion, that should be criminal. Why brokers aren't regulated enough? The FMCSA audits carriers to death, but brokers, they are barely touched. Let's talk about the imbalance in rules. So you have the carrier that does most of the work. You have to have a truck and insurance and maintain the truck, find a driver or owner operator that's driving their own truck, and they have to be compliant with thousands of permits and rules, safety regulations, risk on the road, liability, being away from home, right? But why are brokers not regulated like that, right? There are no regulations. Name me one regulation for a broker that FMCSA will go out and vet the broker. There have been few instances recently, like TQL with that case where someone sued them and they wanted to see like what the load pays, stuff like that. Maybe if the broker is not paying, maybe there's a lawsuit, maybe there's an accident or something, only then FMCSA will go out and audit them and request to see their paperwork. This is Anis from Never Stop Trucking. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching.